we've gotten to this point. So I'm a reporter, or I was, you know, and so I did my research, and I came up with what I think are the 4 reasons that we are so much more afraid than our parents. And the first reason is, what do we always have to blame? I'm not kicking you, I'm just being a knee-jerk person. We blame the media. Thank you. Yes, we blame the media because the media are to blame. The media are crazy. The media love the story of a kidnapped kid, preferably white and middle class, more than any other story in the world. And that's why we've heard, we all know the names, you know, Kaylee and Maddie and Haley, and never name your child with 2 E's at the end, and Maddie, okay? Who knows the story of Maddie McCann? Maddie McCann, 4-year-old kid taken from her hotel room in Portugal. Does this ring a bell? Okay, so I've pop quiz. Can you tell me anything else that has happened in Portugal in the last 500 years? Anything. I mean, do they have a king? You know? Oh, you, I know you're a Cato person. You don't count. Forget it, right? You guys know everything. No. The point is that that story was so valuable. It's the only one we went and got from there. It's like when Columbus came over here looking for saffron, something so tiny and golden and perfect and small that but it was valuable beyond belief. That's what the story of a kidnapping is to the television news, up to the point where ABC actually hired Elizabeth Smart to be their kidnapping correspondent. You know, news, weather, sports, kidnapping. Yours, that. It's like, that's why we live in this world where we think kids are being kidnapped constantly, because that story is constantly on the paper, in the media. And then the drama shows just chew it up and spit it back at us. So one day a friend called and said, did you watch Law and Order last night? I was like, which Law and Order? Law and Order, Law and Order, Law and Order, or Law and Order? That one, Law and Order. Okay, no, I didn't. What was on? He said, go watch it. So I watched on Hulu, and there was the story of, guess what? It was a 9-year-old boy who wanted to take the subway by himself, okay? And so the mother's like, here, I'll be the mother, you be the boy. I don't know, here. And she knits him some mittens, okay? Can we guess what's gonna happen to the mittens? Okay, so she knits him the mittens, Walter Mittens, like Walter Mitty. And then, and off she sends him, and amazingly, he actually gets to school just fine. Does he get home? No, I'm sorry, he's gone. He's gone for good. Sorry, Walter. Right, just like that. And what do we see on the ground? A mitten, of course, because like all the empty swings were unavailable that day. So I thought it sounded familiar, and then I did a little research, and you're the first people who are actually seeing this, because my husband said, why don't you ever just get a photo to show them? So I got a photo to show you. Okay, this was the kid on the Law and Order episode. Can you see that? Maybe there's a coincidence. That's my son. Okay? Oh, ripped from the headlines, except that he died because on TV, yes, look at that. That's the perfect, get the cameras. She has her mouth agape. Right? I know, I couldn't believe it. Even the older son, who doesn't want to think about this all the time, said, whoa. So that's the story. So the stories get repeated, and if it's the anniversary, it's 37.5 years since Eitan Pates. They will throw this on the TV because you're never supposed to think that a child going outside is safe from kidnapping. So the media are to blame. 2, we live in a litigious and regulated society, 2 sides of the same coin. A couple of years ago, reading an article that right before Christmas, Little Tikes had recalled its workbench. You know, those plastic workbenchy things. Because a child had almost choked on one of the nails. And I thought, that is really weird that they're putting real nails in the Little Tikes workbench. And then I read a little further. It's like, no, it was indeed a plastic nail. It was a plastic nail that was 3 1/4 inches by 1 1/4 inches, which is the size of everything. You know, sorry. No, it's the size of, let's see, a mini banana. It's the size of a salt shaker. It is the size of, in my house, it's a ho-ho. You know, so why was that considered too dangerous? To me, if you've sold something, and they had sold these since 1995, and they'd sold 1.5 million of these sets. So if you've sold something for over 15 years, and nobody has died using it, to me, that's a safe toy. But to the government, that was a dangerous toy and it had to be recalled immediately, and do not sell it and do not use it and burn it and breathe in the fumes, whatever we care, just somehow get rid of it. So that became something that I became aware of too. Is like, what are we recalling? What are we saying is not safe enough? And I wish I was less cheap and had gone out and bought this thing for you to show you. But like last week, a children's shoe was recalled, a running shoe, and if you read why, and it said, there was one report from adult who had either bruised or scraped his finger on the grommet. So there are 70,000 shoes off the bat recalled. So nothing is safe enough. When you look through the lens of risk, which is how we've started looking at society and especially childhood, everything's dangerous. That's why you can't find a teeter-totter and a seesaw, which is good because I was always at the top of the seesaw and I could never come down, and I hated them. And so off message, yay, no more seesaws. But on message, how dare they take away our seesaws? Seesaws are gone, merry-go-rounds are wrong. Everybody is either afraid of somebody hurting themselves or afraid of being sued, and the two go together. And then the regulators come in and say you shouldn't have that anyway. And so between the regulators and the insurance industry, nothing is safe enough in childhood. Reason number 3. I'm skipping the amazing mom in Texas story. Ask me about it later. 3, we live in an expert culture, okay? Experts are telling us what to do from the moment you get the little test back and it says, congratulations, you're having a liability. Oh, what will we call him? So, ever heard of the book, What to Expect? Right. No, that's expectorate. What to Expect. What to Expect has 29 pages on what to eat when you're pregnant, which if you ask me, I could tell you in one word, it's more. How about that? That'll work. But no, 29 pages, and it goes on and on about all the things that you're supposed to do, including think about each forkful, okay? Each single forkful. Not every day try to eat a little more spinach and quinoa, I guess. Spinach and quinoa, ideally. And a little less Kahlua cream pie. No, every bite. So here's what it says, quote, each bite during the day is an opportunity to feed that growing baby of yours healthy nutrients. Like, oh, you're kidding. Is that how they get their food? Okay, thank you, Heidi. Each bite, what will that give them? Quote, better birth weight, improved brain development, lower risk for certain birth defects, ... J'accuse. That is, to me, some of the cruelest things ever written in English language to pregnant women, because to me, I get my history from historical novels. And so I was reading The Other Boleyn Girl, which was also about the other Boleyn girl, who was Anne. And when Anne is married to Henry VIII, and she has a baby with certain birth defects, what happens to Anne? Right? Henry has her killed, beheaded, because to him it was her fault for making this kid with a birth defect. What do you think they're saying? I think that that's so mean, because if you have anything wrong with your kid, from they're in the slow class to they have curly hair to they have, anything wrong with them, you start thinking it must have been that time I ate that ho-ho. And I was just trying to keep my other kid from choking on it. It tells you that you are responsible, and if you so much as like take a step off this balance beam of perfection, you have ruined your kid, and there's no going back. And then that's before the kid is born, okay? Then once they're out, there are books and books on how to talk to them and read to them. Here, Walter, pretend that you had, sorry, I'm sure this happens in every Cato talk, all right? Pretend you're 3, and you have an animal cracker, and it broke. No, come on, it broke, for God's sake. Yeah, right. Right, now I can't do that, obviously, but I can't say, oh, that's too bad. No, you can't say, here's another cookie. You can't even say, that's the way the cookie crumbles, even though that is literally the way the cookie crumbles. It's a phrase that's worked well for generations. But no, here's what I have to do. Keep crying. Okay. Oh, this is what you have to do according to the happiest toddler on the block. And by the way, I like the fact that there's like the happiest toddler, and then like yours is like maybe the 4th happiest, and theirs is the 7th happiest. But I've got the happiest toddler on the block because I read the book. Okay, happiest toddler on the block says this. Not that. All right. Sad. You have to get down on your knees and respectfully relate before you can say another word. So suddenly, me just wanted to say, I have a whole bag of cookies. I was at Costco. I have a pallet of cookies. You can't say anything. You can't think that you might have the right answer at the tip of your tongue. You have to consult an expert. And that's not even counting, like, if the kid comes home with a picture, let's say this was a picture like this, okay? And they've drawn like something and you can't tell if it's a horse or a cockroach, whatever it is. You can't just say, oh, that's a great picture. You're a good artist. Are you kidding? You know what you're doing to your kid if you say you're a good artist? You know this, right? You're stymieing them for life. They're going to be stuck in their cockroach period forever because they've never done anything as good. You've defined them as an artist, and that's wrong. You've told them they're good, that's wrong. But you can't say, oh my God, roach, horse, why don't you spend more than 2 seconds on this? You can't say that because then you're the tiger mom and you've stunted the kid and they're gonna burn your stuffed animals or vice versa. There's nothing you can say except this. This is what another book told me. So you have to spend a good amount of time looking at the picture. I hope that's enough time. Then you have to say something that shows that you care, but not too much, and that you've noticed, but you aren't making a judgment. So you say, oh, I see you drew the sun green. You idiot. I got a son who draws the sun green. No, the sun green, just like that green shirt you wore for your birthday. Okay, so now I've made him the hero of the story. I've related to him respectfully. I've mentioned something. I've completely taken all judgment out of it, and I've said it right. Well, that's turning every conversation with your kids into your Harvard Medical School interview, that you could blow with just one word. That's a great son. No, you can't say that. So the experts are basically telling you that whatever you think you're doing wrong, and you need a lot of help because you're an idiot. So that's the expert culture. The final thing that's changed us a lot is what I call the child safety industrial complex, and that's what I have brought with us some examples today. Are you ready? Okay? Child safety industrial complex. What are these? These, and Julie, I might have told you these, so you can't tell. Anyone else? Leggings. No, that's so sweet and almost makes sense. No, they are because the poor thing is stuck in a seatbelt and nobody has ever been able to stand the chafing of an entire seatbelt against them. No, it's not the safety belt. That would have been a good idea. No, what are they? Protect against something, but not heat, because they make you hot. These are baby knee pads. Okay? These are to protect your child when they're crawling because you decided to decorate the nursery with crushed glass, But if you go to the website one step ahead, which these aren't, these are one crawl ahead, you'll see that one of the moms love these. One step ahead is really great if you want a whipping boy. One mom said that these were wonderful because they helped her child make the difficult transition from the carpet to the floor. It's great. But my friend who wrote A Nation of Wimps, Harold Morano, points out that the bad thing about these is that they actually make it very difficult to crawl, because they're so slippery. You can't get any traction at all. And by the way, don't we want it to hurt a little on their knees when they are crawling so that they have some incentive to try to stand up? You want, like, Mom, give me a beer. You don't want that. Evolution has figured out the whole knee thing and has been doing pretty well for a while. But somehow we're supposed to think this generation just can't take the horrible chafing. Okay, what are these? What are these? Audience, you're looking at them. These are table toppers, okay? Table toppers are disposable placemats. They are eco-friendly, except for the fact that they exist. And they're made by Disney, who would never make anything we didn't need. Okay, what do they do? Table toppers provide on-the-go protection from germs, dirt, and cleaning chemicals on restaurant and food court tables. Whoa! Paging Mr. Orwell. These provide protection from germs, dirt, and cleaning chemicals. So basically, if you go to the food court and there's yesterday's taco salad fused to the formica and you have to scrape it off, these will help keep the child from getting some horrible disease. But God forbid some minimum wage worker came in and swabbed the thing with Windex. Thank God your child will be safe from the clean countertop that's there before him. So this product and this society is telling you that your child is in danger no matter what. That's how they make money. Child's in danger no matter what. Okay, this is my very favorite item. What is this? What is this? Oh, wait, everybody knows this now. I need some old person to say, that's a rubber duck. Thank you. And he's bald. Thank you. Ding. So this is, in fact, the baby bathwater temperature duck. And how it works is this. You fill a bath with water. That's your first mistake, right? Right. Then you put the duck inside. You wait a few minutes. Maybe you can praise the kid in the meantime. And then you pull it out. And if the word hot appears on the duck, then you know that the water is hot. That's how you know, thanks to this duck, because you couldn't possibly put your hand in and you pull it out and there's only bones left and there's something swirling around and it smells like soup, No, you have to depend on this, except Walter, can you read? I mean, I can read with easily. I want you to read this sentence that starts under caution, adult. Adult
should always place hand in bathwater to test the temperature before placing baby in tub.
What? This duck is actually telling me that I can't even trust it? That I have to put my own hand in? So what does this duck exist to do? I'll tell you, aside from getting $3.49 for Babies R Us, I'll tell you, this duck exists to screw with your mind, okay? All this duck is doing, and these pads are doing, and these table toppers are doing, is trying to convince you that you don't have the brains or the experience, or your child doesn't have anything from the immune system to the fortitude to make it from one day to the next without a lot of help, a class or a product or something that you have to buy, read, or do. Otherwise, all bets are off. So what's the result? The result is, oh, I gotta hurry. The result's this, and I'm gonna read it really fast. This is a letter I got. Dear free-range kids, I'm 15 right now and get pretty much no freedom. I'm limited to what's inside the house and the backyard. I can't even go as far as the sidewalk. I might be, he puts it in quote, abducted or killed. I used to walk to a bus stop, but my dad said it was too dangerous, so he started driving me there, and eventually he just started driving me to school. Today, after playing video games for 2 hours or so, I went downstairs and realized the only things I could do there were eat and watch TV. Watching TV, playing video games, and eating junk food is fun and all, but after even just a few days, it gets old. I've been on winter break for half a week. I don't want my kids, if I ever have kids, to live like me at all. So what's the story here? His parents were so afraid of this young man being kidnapped that they kidnapped him. Really, he's living like Rapunzel. He's living in his beautiful gilded cage because his parents have been driven crazy with worry. So the answer came to me when I went to a class that was in 6th grade class in Manhattan, run by a woman named Joanna Drewson, who started having the kids there, who are 11, do a free-range kids project based on the Izzy subway ride. And all they had to do was choose something that they thought they were ready to do that they hadn't done yet because they didn't know why. It just hadn't occurred to them. It's not part of pop culture anymore. And so I go there every year and I read the projects. And in fact, I'll read them next week when I'm back. But the first year, kids said, they had to write up a project or make a poster or do a video, and a bunch of kids made eggs. I swear to God, they made an egg, and they're always saying things, and I can't tell if they're just trying to please the teacher or they're morons. They say, I thought I was gonna burn down the house, or I was so scared, and I had to approach the flame. I'm like, put a pan on it, really dumb. But my favorite one is this one, okay? Actually, let me just tell you one more. There was a girl who decided she was going to go knocking on the doors of all the other apartments on the floor of her giant apartment building in Battery Park City, which is outrageously safe downtown, unless there's a terrorist attack. Then it's not safe. But when it's on a normal day, it's totally safe. And she wanted to just knock on the doors and see and tell people who she was and meet them. And her mother said, no, thinking what about all the predators? And the girl was so smart. She said, Mom, what if there's a fire? Don't you want them to know that I'm here? And the mom was like, oh, yeah, okay, go meet the neighbors. And so the kid knocked on all the doors and she met 2 other kids her age because she was going to a magnet school. And so she didn't know everybody there. So anyways, that's the whole point of free-range kids, is to get people out and connecting and not being so afraid. But my favorite story was this. Girl decided she was going to bake an independence cake. And she made a big poster, how to bake an independence cake. She couldn't quite fit the end. She decided she would go to the store by herself, buy the ingredients, and come home and make the cake. And she'd never walked to the store, just half a mile away from her house, by herself before. So she starts going, and she said, quote, On the way there, everyone looked angry, like they were going to reach out and snatch me. Believe me, getting there was no picnic. Okay, so she has internalized all this fear that everybody on the street is about to grab her. But then she gets to the store and she's wandering around. She has to find, takes a while, the eggs and the butter and the cocoa and the this and that. Finally, she's at the checkout and she's there, and a lady behind her says, "Excuse me, would you mind watching?" No. I never let people leave. No. She pays for it. She pays for it with her own money because that was part of the independence ideal. And then she takes her satchels and she's going off, and she said, quote, "The way home seemed much shorter and more pleasant because I was already used to the walk." Okay, so that's what she got, right? She suddenly gets the kind of freedom and joy that most of us remember from childhood when the world became ours. Instead of being overwatched, oversupervised, overregulated, overcared for by a society that cares so much for us that they are just completely stifling us. So here's the question, not the question, here's my conclusion that I was scrawling with Walter downstairs, which is, to me, a good childhood is a child where you're free to ride your bike around the neighborhood, or go to the park or the playground, or knock on your friend's house without worry that your parents are going to be arrested for negligence. And it's when you can climb a tree because it still has branches and they haven't been deemed overgrown. What is it? Overgrown vegetation. Overgrown vegetation is the natural world, okay? The world is overgrown vegetation. Try to start regulating that and there's nothing left. And that's the whole point. When you try to take out every last ounce of risk in childhood to the point where nothing is safe enough, nothing is safe enough. You can't do anything. You can't go anywhere. You can't bring a plant in soil to the science fair. So if we want to give some childhood back to kids, some authority back to parents, and some balls, buckyballs maybe, back to America, let's raise some free-range kids. Thank you very much.